Welcome to Drive the Daf, clear, structured explanation of the daily Daf in 20 minutes. You can even follow in the car.
Taanis Daf test is entirely Agadata, continuing with the Gemara's Agadic discussion, beginning with two more statements of Rav Yochanan and some related stories, and then the Gemara will get into how the rain falls, where the water comes from, and where we can see psukim and other positions to support a machlokes on that subject. So the Gemara has been discussing Rav Yochanan's statements. So the Gemara's next one is that the Torah says aser to aser, give meiser, you should give meiser. What is the double expression? Rav Yochanan says it should be read aser to asher, give meiser in order that you shall become rich. So the Gemara says that Rav Yochanan met the son of Rish Lakish. Rish Lakish had passed away already, and this boy was still young. And Rav Yochanan said to him, "What pasuk are you learning?" So he said, "I'm learning aser to aser." So then the boy asked Rav Yochanan, "What is the meaning of aser to aser? Why does it say twice?" So he said, "It's aser b'shvil shetis asher, take meiser in order that you should become rich." So he asked him, "How do you know? How do you know that that's what it means?" So Rav Yochanan said, "Go test it out. Take meiser and see whether or not you become rich." So the boy said, "Are you allowed to test Hashem? Doesn't not say listen asks Hashem like Hechem? You're not allowed to test Hashem." So he said, "No, my Rebbe Rav Oshia said that in the case of becoming rich before taking meiser, you are allowed to test Hashem, like the pasuk says, Havivus kol maser al beisa otzer v'hiteref bevesi. Bring all the meiser to the storehouse so that there should be food in my house," says Hashem. Uvchanunina bezos, and test me, please, with this. Amar Hashem tzavokos, or test me now with this, says Hashem. If I don't open for you the windows of the sky, and pour blessing to you, ad beli dai, until without limit. So the Gemara just explains what is the phrase ad beli dai means. The Gemara says beli here doesn't mean without. Beli is like bila, which means to wear out. Until you get worn out, your lips get worn out from saying enough, enough, enough. It'll be so much that you not only say enough, but you'll say enough so many times you'll get worn out from that. So now back to Rav Yochanan and the son of Rish Lakish, who was Rav Yochanan's nephew. Rish Lakish was married to Rav Yochanan's sister. So the boy said to Rav Yochanan, "Well, that pasuk says pretty straight out that you're allowed to test Hashem. Had I known the pasuk, had I gotten up to that pasuk, I wouldn't need you. I wouldn't need you to explain it to me, and I wouldn't need Rav Hoshia, your Rebbe, to explain that either." Now the Gemara brings another conversation between Rav Yochanan and the son of Rish Lakish on a different incident. He says that he came. Rav Yochanan found the son of Rish Lakish who was saying over a pasuk in Mishlei, "Ivelas Adam Tisalev Darkoi Va'al Hashem Izaf Liboy." The foolishness, meaning the mistakes of a person, turns his way away. It turns his way sideways, meaning it brings him punishment. Va'al Hashem Izaf Liboy, but then he blames Hashem for his own issues. So Rav Yochanan said, "Is there any pasuk in Ksuvim that is not hinted at in Chumash?" Usually the psukim in Ksuvim are all based on psukim somewhere in Chumash. So where is the root, where is the basis in Chumash for this pasuk in Mishlei? So the boy said to Rav Yochanan, I can tell you where it's from. It's from when the brothers of the Shvatim were upset as what was happening to them in Mitzrayim, and they said, and it says in the pasuk, "Yecherdu ish el achiv leimar," and they were afraid, a man to his brother, to say, "Mazlois asa Elokim lanu." What is this that Hashem has done to us? So you see, they're blaming Hashem for their own misfortune again. So the Gemara says Rav Yochanan lifted his eyes in order to look at the boy. He was impressed with what he came up with. Elsewhere, the Gemara says that Rav Yochanan had very large eyebrows, and he had to actually pick them up in order to look. So, but when he did that, Rish Lakish's mother came and took away her son, and she said, "Go away from Rav Yochanan, lest he do to you what he did to your father." The Gemara in above Matzia relates that Rav Yochanan was upset at Rish Lakish at some point, and he looked at him, and that caused him to become sick, and he died from that. Later, Rav Yochanan himself passed away from being upset at having lost his chavrusa. So this must have been recently after Rish Lakish had died. Okay, the Gemara now brings the next of Rav Yochanan's 5 teachings. And Rav Yochanan said, rain can come for only one person, but Parnasa, general decree of Parnasa for the entire region, that only comes for everybody. Cannot have one person earn Parnasa. You can earn rain, but not Parnasa. Now the Gemara says, where do you see this in the Psukim? So you see you get rain for one person, as it says, Yiftach Hashem l'chas yitzari hatoyev loseis mitar artzacha. Hashem will open for you His storehouse of goodness in order to provide rain. And there it's lacha is in the singular, so rain could be given for an individual. However, parnasa, meaning general food, that only comes for the entire population, as it says, Hineni mamtir lochem lechem min hashamayim. I'm going to bring down bread for you, plural, from the sky. Okay, now the Gemara is a kasha is from a brisa. It's a kasha on the idea that you only get parnasa for the entire population, not for an individual. The Gemara's kasha is going to be from the fact that the mun was brought bischos in the merit of Moshe Rabbeinu alone, and therefore it's a single individual who's bringing the parnasa. So the Gemara quotes a long brisa, which will end up with the point that Moshe is the one who brought the mun. So the brisa says as follows: it's Rav Yosi ben Rabbi Yehuda, who says that there were three great leaders of Klal Yisrael. There were Moshe, Aaron, and Miriam, and there were three gifts given to Klal Yisrael in the merit of each of them. And they are the Be'er, the clouds, the covering of clouds, and the mun. The Be'er was in the merit of Miriam, the clouds was in the merit of Aaron, and the mun was in the merit of Moshe. When Miriam died, the well disappeared, as it says, Vatamas Sham Miriam, and Miriam died. Right afterwards, there was nothing for the people to drink. But the well came back in the schos of Moshe and Aaron. However, when Aaron died, the clouds disappeared, like it says, V'yishma Kanani melech Arad. Kanani, king of Arad, heard, and it says this right after Aaron had died. It says he heard, and he came and he attacked. What did he hear? He heard that Aaron had died. And that was important because now he could attack because the clouds had disappeared and were not covering Klal Yisrael. Another source, it says, Vayiru kol ha'eda ki gava Aaron, and the entire community saw that Aaron had passed away. It says, don't read it as Vayiru, ela vayira'u. They became visible because, ki here will mean because instead of that, because ki can mean if, perhaps, that, and because. So, the entire nation became visible, ki gava Aaron, because Aaron had passed away. So you see that the clouds, the Ananiya Kavi, disappeared when Aaron passed away. They came back in the schos of Moshe. Now all three of them were present in the schos of Moshe, but when Moshe died, they all disappeared at once. And you see that from the pasuk that says, I'll take away the three shepherds in 1 month. Now, the three shepherds cannot refer to Moshe, Aaron, and Miriam because they didn't die in the same month. Miriam died in Nisan, Aaron died in Av, and Moshe died in Adar. It just means that the things that were given in their merit were all taken away in the same month. Okay, so we see that the mun came in the schos of Moshe. So how could it be if Reish Lakish says that parnasa only comes in the schos of a population, of a congregation? The word says Moshe was different. He was being mispalel for all of Klal Yisrael. That's why he was able to come in his schos. It wasn't his individual schos, it was his schos bringing it to Klal Yisrael. Now the Gemara has an incident here that relates to the pasuk which we just quoted about the three shepherds being removed. So the Gemara says that Rav Huna bar Menach, Rav Shmuel bar Yidi, and Rav Chia from Vastania would go to the shir of Rava, but when Rava died, they moved to the shir of Rav Papa. Whenever Rav Papa said something that they didn't like, they would hint to each other, they would signal to each other that this doesn't make sense. Rav Papa was upset about that, and therefore Rav Papa was humiliated, and he received a message in a dream, I'm going to remove the three shepherds, meaning that those three Talmidei Chachamim were going to die because of what they did to Rav Papa. So the next time by shir, when they left, Rav Papa said to them as they were leaving, he said, Leizlu Rabbanan Bishlama, the Rabbanan should go in peace, meaning he was giving them a bracha that they should not suffer that fate as was predicted to him in the dream. Now, there was another similar story with Rav Papa that happened when Rav Shimi Barashi came to the shir, and Rav Shimi would ask him akashas all the time, and Rav Papa had a hard time answering. Even though Rav Papa's rulings were correct, still Rav Shimi was very sharp and it was hard to answer him. So by Tachnun, Rav Papa said, Rachmana litzlan mikisuva deshimi. Hashem should please save us from Shimi's attacks, from Shimi's embarrassings. So, and Rav Shimi heard him say that. And when he heard that, he understood that he was really causing pain to Rav Papa, so he resolved to stop asking questions, and he did not do that any longer. Alright, now we've said before that Rav Yochanan said the rain comes for an individual. Zimar says Reish Lakish also holds that rain comes for an individual. And Reish Lakish gives a different source for that, and that is a pasuk in Zechariah, which says as follows: Shalomei Hashem Matar Be'eis Malkosh Hashem Osa Chazizim. Request from Hashem rain at the time of the Malkosh that later rains, and Hashem will make clouds. We'll give them downpours of rain for each man grass in the field. This is a special bracha that'll come in the end of days when there will be very specific hashgacha and people will get rain when they need it. So the Gemara says here you see a very specific amount of hashgacha. It doesn't say that the rain will be given for the population in general. It says lahem leish, to an individual. Even if only one person needs it, he'll get rain. You don't have to have rain for the entire neighborhood. He'll get rain because he needs it. Not only will he get it if he needs it, but even if only one of his fields needs it, he'll get it for only one field. Like it says, La'ish basada, in the field. Only the field which needs it. Not only that, but not even the whole field will have to receive it all at once. Even if there's only one plant in the field which needs it, it'll get watered. Specifically, that plant will be watered by rain from Shemayim. So Gemara says that Rav Daniel Bar Katina had such hashgacha pratis. He had a garden. Every day he went out and he said, this one needs water, this one doesn't, this one does, this one doesn't, and rain fell only on the plants that needed water. Now, in the pasuk we had used the word oisa chazizim. Hashem oisa chazizim. Those chazizim means clouds, but why is it plural? So Gemara says that Rav Yossi Bar Chanina says that this teaches that every single righteous person has his own cloud to water his fields. And here you have a plurality of it. Now, what type of clouds are chazizim? So Rav Yehuda says these are parchais, flying clouds. Now, Rav Yochanan says, whenever you see flying clouds, that means a big rain is coming. What are flying clouds? Rav Papa says those are thin clouds which move quickly underneath the thick clouds that don't move so fast. Alright, now, more signs you can tell about the weather forecast. Rav Yehuda says if you have a fine rain, small drops coming, and then heavy drops follow afterwards, that's a sign that it's going to be raining for a long time. If on the other hand you have heavy rain, and then you have fine rain coming afterwards, that's a sign that the rain's about to stop. Now, that's a way to remember that is by using a model. When you sift flour, usually the thin grains go out first and then the big grains. So that's like where the fine rain goes first and followed by heavy rains. That means you still have to sift the rest of it. But that things slow down, the rain slows down as it stops, that you get from the excrement of the goat, which slows down as it is expelled until it finally stops. Okay, now the Gemara says in a story, the Gemara says Ula came to Bavel and he saw flying clouds and he said, "Oh, take all my things into the house because it's about to rain a lot." But the rain didn't come. So Ula said, "Aha! I see. Not only do the Babylonians lie, but even the sky in Babylonia lies. It gives false signs." He's referring to the fact that the rain is withheld in Babylonia because people don't give tzedakah that they promised. That's the lie. So the sky reacts in kind. Now, another thing that happened when Ula came to Bavel was that he saw this. We've seen this Gemara elsewhere. He saw that a basket full of dates were on sale for just one zuz. So Ula said, how could it be if such delicious food is available for so cheap? Why are people here busy making money and they don't have time to learn anything? Well, they have time to learn, but not all the time. They should learn much more. Anyway, so Ula ate the dates and got sick from them. And then he said, Oivei, it's the opposite actually. The people in here wear a basket of knives, not a basket of honey, a basket of knives, meaning these dates which cause such pain. They are sold for just as us. Must be that a lot of people eat them. I'm surprised they ever get a chance to learn with all the suffering that they must be enduring. Alright, going back to rain, the Gemara now wants to know where does the water of the rain come from. The Gemara says, Machlokes Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Shua. Rabbi Eliezer says it comes from the oceans. It rises from the oceans, it evaporates, goes up to the heavens, forms clouds and rains. And the pasuk that supports it is Ve'ed Yalam min Haaretz Ve'yishkas Kol Pnei Ha'adama. Vapor comes up from the earth and it waters the surface of the soil of the land. Now Rabbi Shua said it comes from Shemayim. Rabbi Shua asked Rabbi Eliezer, according to you, that comes from the oceans, it should be salty. Why is it not salty? So Rabbi Eliezer said, in the process of becoming clouds, it becomes sweetened. It leaves the salt behind in the oceans. Now Rabbi Shua said that it comes from the upper waters, and his source is L'mitar Hashemayim Tishdemayim. The rain is L'mitar Hashemayim. It is rain of the heavens. So you see, it comes from the heavens. So the Gemara says, but what do you do with Ve'ed Yalam min Haaretz? Why is vapor coming up from the ground? So the Gemara says the vapor comes up from the ground, forms clouds, and then the clouds are filled with water from the Shemayim. Like it says, Yazoiku motar le'edai. They pour rain into the cloud. Now those clouds then have holes in them like a sieve, and therefore it sprinkles them. It serves to sprinkle it over everything else. Like it says, Avos mechashes mayim agabi karka, mechashes mayim avesh chakim. A sieve of water are the clouds of the heavens. Each drop is only a hair away from another drop, but it still comes out separate drops, not one wave of water. Says the Gemara, you can also see from here that the day of rain is as great as the time the heavens and earth were created. Like it says, Osa Gadolo is ad ein cheker. He does great deeds without examination. You cannot examine them. Right after that, it says, Anosein matar apnei aretz. He gives rain on the face of the earth. So you see that rain is connected with the word cheker, and the word cheker is connected to creation of Shemayim and Aretz. Like it says, Hala yadatam le'shemata elokei olam Hashem ein cheker us'v'nosai. Have you not known? Have you not heard? The God of the world is Hashem. His wisdom is beyond examination. Okay, so there you have. Rain is as great as the creation of heaven and earth. All right, now the Gemara wants to know. We've seen this machlokas for Elazar and Rav Yeshua. If rainwater comes from the heavenly waters, or if it comes from the oceans. So Gemara has two Amoraim who said statements. So the Gemara wants to know how they fit. So one is Rav Yochanan, who's explaining the pasuk that says Mashkar Ma'ali Yosef. He waters the mountains from his upper chambers, and Rav Yochanan says that water comes from the upper chambers of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So Gemara says, well, that seems to fit with Rav Yeshua, that the rainwater comes from above. Gemara says Rabbi Eliezer would not have a problem with that. He would say that it does come from above. At first, it comes from the oceans. Then it goes up to the sky, and it comes from there. And that's not a problem. And it has to be that qualifies as being called coming from above, because in the curses of the Techacha it speaks of the afar, the dirt and the dust, avak v'afar min hashamayim, coming from the heavens. So that can only be that there's no heavenly storehouse of avak and afar. That has to mean it comes from the ground, gets blown by the wind into the sky, and then falls. So if that could be called coming from Shemayim, so then water which comes out of the oceans, it goes up to form clouds and then rains, could also be called coming from Shemayim. Okay, another Amara is Rav Chanina, who explained the pasuk Kainis Kanin Me'ayam Noisim B'Yitzaros Tehaimus. He assembles like a mountain the waters of the sea. He places deep waters in storehouses. So deep water in storehouses. Rav Chanina explained like this: what causes the storehouses to be filled with grain? The Tehaimus. How do you have a tzara? It's from Tehaimus, from the waters of the deep. So the rain comes out of the oceans, and that's what causes the prosperity to fill the storehouses with food. So it says that fits like Rabbi Eliezer, the rain comes from the oceans. How did Rabbi Yeshua explain it? He would say that this is referring to when the world was created, when Hashem first put the waters in storehouses, and that's the oceans, and that's the water. But that's not referring to that the rain fills your storehouses, it's referring to the creation of the storehouses of the world.
Drive the Daf is a project of the Grand Woodlands Shul and is presented by Rabbi Yitzchak Landa. Find us on YouTube or subscribe to daily emails by emailing drivethedaf@gmail.com.